What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Meadow Green Homesteading. So today we have an action-packed day full of chicken activities. We have a Joel Salatin style chicken tractor that we're going to be putting chickens into, and I modified his design just a little bit to make it easier to get the chickens out of it when it's time to process the chickens. So I'll show you what's going on there. We have 10 of our Orpington roosters that we're going to be processing today. I'm not going to show that on camera, but I will show you the setup that we have, kind of like an off-grid setup up at our barn. Then we're going to be moving the Orpington hens that are with those roosters into the new chicken tractor and put those out into the pasture. We'll take a spin over to our bigger pasture where we've combined both of our chicken tractors side by side into that pasture. We're going to be running 3 different style chicken tractors in that pasture. I'll show you the 3 different styles that we're working with, maybe talk a little bit about what I like from each and kind of what I don't like. It's all a little bit of an experiment to us at this point, so there are some things that we figured out about these tractors I'd like to share with you guys, but we got a lot of work to do, so let's go ahead. We'll load this chicken tractor up that we built. It's down here in our driveway. We got to put it on the tractor, bring it up to the field, get that in place, start getting set up to process these chickens. So this is our Joel Salatin style chicken tractor we just created. Now this is simply for those who are not familiar with Joel Salatin. He's a regenerative farmer up in Virginia, and what he does is very low cost solutions for raising cattle, pigs, chickens, and a bunch of other livestock. So this is an 8x8 by 2 feet tall chicken tractor, and it is completely surrounded by chicken wire. We have a couple polycarbonate panels right here on the top just to provide a little bit of shade and rain shelter. We will be adding a little bit more on here on the sides a little bit in the future, but for now this is good enough for us. We have a couple of casters right here on the back. That way when you just lift up on the front of this tractor, the casters are on the ground. It makes it a little bit easier to drag. We did a double layer of chicken wire right here on the sides, just a single on the top. We have a nice little door right here with a locking latch where we can access the food and water right inside. Now this little guy right here, this is a pull bar, and what we're doing with this pull bar is, if you can see through here in the back, there is a plywood back to this chicken tractor, and over here on the sides you'll see these rails. Now this is pretty much like a I'm going to go ahead and show you how that works, and then we're going to load this chicken tractor up onto the trailer, bring it up into the pasture, and then we'll get to work on processing our chickens. Now, as you can see with this fully extended, we've brought that plywood wall all the way to the front, and we'll be able to herd all these chickens out and get them out really easy. This is kind of an experiment, something that I wanted to try. It does add a little bit of weight and cost to this chicken tractor, but I think it's going to work, and I think it's going to be worth it in the end. I don't want to have to go in there, and I don't want to have to send my son in there with 25, 30 chickens when it's time to process them. So if you want to see how well this works, we're going to be processing the chickens out of this in late July. So hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss that. All right, so we have all 10 of our Orpington hens moved into the chicken tractor from the barn. They're making their way right towards being at home. They're pecking and scratching, eating all the grass, which is perfect. So What I want to do now is kind of show you guys the other two chicken tractors we have, talk about why we made those designs the way that we did, the things that we like about them and the things that we don't like about them. And then I want to bring you over to the barn and kind of explain why we're moving these chickens over to this chicken tractor for only about 2 or 3 weeks. So as I stated down the driveway, this is a nice tractor. It's really light and you can pull it around by hand. This is mainly a tractor that is made for like a meat bird, like a Cornish cross or something like that. You can see people putting up to 50 Cornish cross chickens in one of these. So they're really good at getting Cornish cross out on the pasture and just kind of hanging out in the grass. Now this chicken tractor right here, this is the first tractor that we built for our 6-layer hens. So we have 3 golden comets and 3 cinnamon queens in here. We've had them for about a year in this tractor. This tractor works out really well for it. And I'm going to go into the cons before I do the pros, because I think the con list to me is a lot smaller than the pro list. So the first con I don't like is the fact that you do need a 4-wheeler or a tractor to pull this around. So we have right down here, we have a little eye bolt that I just hooked a winch on from the 4-wheeler. We give this a short tug and move it to the next spot. It's really not that big of a deal. It actually only takes about 15 to 20 seconds to move this chicken tractor. We do have a ramp right here, and we do have a handle that is a means to raise and lower this. Once you have it up, we hook it right around this eye bolt and it keeps it off the ground for during the move. Now, I do use this sometimes and sometimes I don't. It depends on how rough the ground is. If it's really rocky and rough below it, I'll pick it up. If not, I usually leave it down and it kind of scoots across the ground. The other con I have, which is probably the last one, is that this chicken coop is hard to get in. So it's just a small, maybe 18 by 36 inch door at the end, and that's the only way that we can get down the coop. Now, we don't have to get in here very often at all. As you can see, the water is right over here in the corner. We can just reach our arm inside, grab that water whenever it needs to be refilled, and go ahead and bring it out and refill it. So the pro list. The first pro I have is that this is fully enclosed. So we have an automatic door on this. So it opens in the morning just before sunrise and it closes about half hour, 45 minutes after sunset. There is a door right here for clean out, and we keep this piece of plywood right here for cold or really, really stormy days. And we can simply just put this up, flip these, and then they have a completely enclosed coop once this is up. So in the cold winter months, like back in December of 2022, we had a week that was single digits here in Tennessee, and it was very, very cold. What we ended up doing was actually putting all 6 of the hens in here and keeping them in here for the entire cold spell. So it worked out really, really well. So we have a locking door right here for the layer boxes. So we've already grabbed our eggs for today, but they have 3 layer boxes right here. They only use 1, of course. And on the far side, they have 2 roosting bars. Now, layer hens, or any hens for that matter, will always choose the highest roosting bar, so they really only use 1 in this coop. But as you can see, we have some wood chips on the bottom, and there's plenty of space when we shut them in here that they can walk around and kind of do their thing. As for feeding them, we have this tube set up right here. We simply pop the cap off. This is 4-inch PVC. We pop the cap off and we fill this tube up, and it's a gravity feed system right down right in here. One of the things I struggled with when we first built this tractor was the chickens pulling all the food. So we actually put on a couple, I think they're 30-degree elbows or 22.5, something like that. We just made a short little neck, and as you can see, the chickens can easily reach their way in there and go ahead and grab the food. There is a clean out on the bottom of this, and every once in a while I do pop that off and just get out all the dust and whatever nasty old food is on there. We did try a watering system right here, similar. This you can fill with water. It actually does work, but it does have a small leak. And it goes down to 2-inch PVC down here, and then there's 4 of the watering nipples on the bottom. So all in all, I think this tractor really works out well for us. It's held up really good to the weather, and it's definitely kept all the predators out. So the third tractor we have is this A-frame style, and we have Waylon, our Orpington rooster, and his 8 hens in here. This we did out of hardware cloth because we built this shortly after a pretty good predator attack on this chicken tractor right here, which they actually pulled all the chicken wire off of this coop. And if not for that automatic door or a door right there, something would have gotten inside and probably gotten our hens. So we opted for hardwire cloth on this. And on this design, I took a little bit more care of putting some sheet metal flashing on the corners, just kind of tidying up little loose ends of, these things can get pretty sharp, loose ends of all the chicken wire or the hardware cloth. The other design change I made on this is actually a full 7-foot door on here. So you can actually open this really easy and walk right in. So in this chicken tractor, we have a feeding trough right here, and then we have 3 layer boxes set up right here as well as a roost. So what we're doing with this group is Waylon, our rooster, and his 8 hens are going to be our succession breeding group. So what we're going to do is actually use their offspring as our meat birds rather than raising Cornish cross or having to buy chickens. Because again, the whole point of our farm and our goal is to be self-sustainable as much as possible. So they also use a 5-gallon water right here. We keep it by the door. It's easy to get in and out as we need. So the cons on this chicken tractor, if I had any, are one, it's a little too heavy to move around by hand, so we do have to use the 4-wheeler. The other con I have is that it is kind of open and they are susceptible to inclement weather inside, so we've had some discussions about maybe partitioning off a little bit of this. That way if it's really, really cold or if it's really windy and rainy as it can get here in Tennessee in the winter, they have more of a safe space, if you will, to spend the night. Now the pros that we have on this chicken tractor are the 7-foot door makes it extremely accessible to get inside this chicken tractor. So we have easy access to the water, the food, to get their eggs, and all 3 of us can actually get inside this chicken tractor and spend time with the chickens, as we often do, and it's not really crowded. So it is one pro, but it's a big one. So some of you might be familiar with the way our barn is set up, and our barn has a 12 by 16 foot run on the outside and it's 12 by 12 inside. Now, we had a unfortunate situation with the roosters when they hit the age of maturity. Because we had a 1-to-1 hen to rooster ratio, the roosters just started really getting aggressive with the hens. So what we ended up doing was we actually ran some plastic chicken wire right down through the run and right down through the chicken coop and separated the roosters from the hens until today. So the roosters are all in the barn awaiting processing except for one. That one is really small, and to give him kind of a fighting chance at a better life, we actually put him in with Doc in Doc's pen surrounded by the electric fence, and we're going to see how that goes. So the hens are in their tractor, the roosters are in the barn. It's time to start processing all these roosters. All right, so this is our chicken processing setup for up here at the barn. So like I said, last year we did this at the house and we had power and water from the house, but we only have rainwater. And for power, we're using a generator up here. So we're up at the barn, rainwater collection, generator for power. We do our killing right here. So Gabrielle will be doing the killing, scalding, plucking. We have a hose set up right here that's running all the way back to our rain collection system on the barn. I will be right here doing all the cleaning, getting the final pin feathers out, the cleaning of the insides. We're going to be keeping some of the internal organs, the heads, the feet, the necks for one of our customers. And then over here we have 2 coolers full of ice ready to go. So we'll put all the carcasses in the coolers full of ice. We'll bring those down to the house. Then we'll do all our final cleaning and the vacuum sealing down at the house. All right, guys, so we're done processing all 8 of our roosters. Took us a couple hours. I think next time, to improve our process a little bit, I'll probably set up the whole area, the table and the scalder and the cones and all that kind of stuff the day before, because it took us about 3.5 hours to do everything today, and 1.5 hours to 2 hours of that was just setting up and taking down. So we processed 8 roosters. I'm going to go ahead and read off the weights for you. That way you have an example of what to expect if you're growing out heritage birds for yourself. Keep in mind, these are all roosters. So we got 4.03 pounds, 03 being the ounces, 4.13, 4.06, 3.12, 2 of them at 3.13, 4.05, and 3.08. So roughly around 4 to 4.25 pounds, I think, is the average right there. 20 weeks old. Our red rangers that we raised last year were 16 weeks. Roosters were 6 to 6.5 pounds. Hens were, I believe, 4.5 to 5, somewhere in there. So we have the 10 hens right now in their chicken tractor. My friend Cody is going to be taking about 3 of those. We'll have 7 for ourselves. I expect those to weigh somewhere around that 5-pound mark. Hopefully in the next couple weeks they put on quite a bit of weight. We did leave 1 rooster in the barn for my friend Cody as well, and we left 1 in the barn with Doc, our Berkshire pig boar, and we're hoping that rooster can kind of grow out a little bit more over the next couple weeks, and then we can process him with the hens because he was kind of small. So we actually have 2 batches of Cornish cross coming. We have one June 26th and then one I think August 18th. Both are 25 birds apiece. And we also have 8 broad-breasted white turkeys coming June 26th. So we're going to raise those alongside with the Cornish cross. And we're super excited. So if you don't want to miss that, make sure you hit the subscribe button because it's going to be a lot of fun. So we're all done for today. Our chicken extravaganza is in the books. I hope you enjoy getting to see the chicken tractors and maybe take some of the pros and cons and the 3 designs that I showed you and maybe blend them into something you're looking to build for yourself. That's going to be a wrap on today's video. I hope you guys have a great day.